Good morning everyone, my name is Alfredo Suarez and I'm from class 10E, and today in this video I will show you and explain my process throughout my experience in building my personal project, main challenges and the reasoning and the purpose of it. So basically, my personal project is a small scale water mill which converts water flow, as we can see from here, into electrical. I don't know if you can see it, but it will. So as you can see from the video before, it explains on like my current setup with the gear, and then closer up with the water flow, the gear, the water mill. But before that, I had one other project, which as you can see here, it's a water mill again, but instead of using gear, I used a pulley system, which is like basically hooked up to another water mill and then to a smaller like little circle wheel. And then it uses a string, so if the water mill turns, the small wheel will turn faster since the ratio of the big one to the small one is huge. Practically, it looked accurate and it could work, right? Because like instead of gear, it uses like a pulley system, which is also used in like mechanical cars or industrial engineers. But one problem I found from this one, the pulley version, was that the friction from the string and the cardboard from the big water mill was pretty much very hard. So it's very hard to turn it, and since the torque from the water isn't enough to push the water mill enough, like strong to spin it enough for it to generate electricity, it was a dead end because like I couldn't do anything, and basically I had to restart using a gear since the pulley didn't work because of the friction. The materials was a bit flimsy. So that was also like halfway throughout the project. So like I didn't really have any time, so I had to rush through it. So from this, the pulley system, to this, it's more and more efficient since, as we can see here, I don't know if you can see it, but like the gear here is directly applied to the motor, which reduces the energy. It increases the efficiency of energy transfer since there's no sound, barely any heat, unlike the pulley system, which uses strings and friction. And it overall makes it more easier to the energy transfer and to also light up the motor, since just like a small tiny push, if you can see it, it will light up. So basically, just in short, the gear version is basically we have a water pump which pumps water from the base of the platform to the water bottle, the water storage, and that water storage will act as like a waterfall, since I do not want to keep on refilling it as like a waste of energy. So basically I made it more efficient, more fast. So this basically simulates a waterfall or any running water source such as a river, since it can also hook up from the bottom. The river can flow down, and basically from that water output from down here, it will turn the water mill. Basically, as you can see, it will turn it, and then from that turn, when we turn it, it will transfer the energy from the flowing water to the mechanical energy, which is the gear I showed you before, right here. And then after that, the energy from the mechanical will turn into electric to the motor. And just to heads up, the motor is it can be two-way. So if I have to hook it up, it can change from positive node to a negative node. It just depends on the position or the where it spins. So it can be customizable. And as you can see, it's very more efficient. It's very efficient since if I just tap it once, it will instantly light up. So after this, I will show you a video of it running just to make it more easier for you to understand. Yeah. However, my design has its own flaws since every design in life has flaws. So mine has like it depends too much on the water pump since the whole thing relies on it since that's how the free flow of water is produced since the water pushes up the water from the water storage to the selang, the tube, aquarium tube, and then that aquarium tube water it pushes out to the watermill since like the gravitational push of the water during free fall, which I tried before, wasn't really that enough to generate enough torque for it to move since there's also some friction. Yeah, that's also one. Because of the gear, it's because the gear is pushing to each other, it creates friction for it to make it harder to move, to make it more for it to spin. So basically, in short, my drawbacks from my design is it relies too much on the black water pump inside the water storage to create enough torque for the watermill to spin. It has friction, that means the energy transfer is not as efficient, probably around 50 to 70%, maybe a bit higher. And it can get very wet since like the water guards around in the sides here isn't really that protective. It handles around 80% of the water splashes, so maybe some water is lost throughout the process, which is kind of bad since if you don't have a lot of water or like water is scarce, it's like that. And plus the materials used for the stuff is kind of flimsy and easy to break. Yeah, except for this one, this is all kind of stiff. And I use straws, so basically this cannot be applied for large-scale use unless we make another model. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically my drawbacks from my proposed design, my DIY watermill. So in conclusion, I'm just gonna wrap it to 4 points: what I learned, what future improvements, what succeeded, and what did I gain from building my project. So from the first one is what succeeded is that I made a semi-efficient conversion of energy from free flow water to electrical energy from using a gear mechanism and a watermill to produce RPM, and that RPM is used to generate electricity from a motor. And that's what I successfully did. I successfully made a small scale energy converter from free water flow to electrical output. However, some limitations of the design are that it relies too much on the water pump inside the water storage or the water bottle to create enough torque for the watermill to move since it has friction, obviously, because due to the gear pushing into each other, it's a bit more harder for it to spin. That's why I chose the water pump, since free fall alone isn't enough and it's not guided, because like it can spread around. This is guided using a tube which I can aim and alter the direction. And yeah, and the items and the stuff I built with it isn't really that durable and a bit flimsy. So for future improvements is that I want to try to experiment with this design to see if I can, instead of lighting a light bulb, I want to see if I can charge a phone or make it attach it to a fan so that it could be multi-use and can be convertible instead of only like an LED bulb only for brightness or visibility. So building my project is very meaningful to me since it taught me on how hard it is to gain electricity and to convert electricity from one source of energy such as free flow or force to an electrical output. Since other forces are acting upon it, because of friction, heat from the friction, sound, and all of those can result in energy loss, which will make the process less efficient. So that's basically it. I really had a good time building the personal project, and like it was really fun since I like DIY art craft from that. And I really hope the next personal project I can do even better or do more art.